Thank God he's already dead. I gotta get out of this lab.
Can hear them, but I can't see them. They're down here.
Yeah, it looks like the place to go. This is the place to be.
Go downstairs.
It's one of the big ones.
Am I going through this way? Alright. Pass through this security gate and search for Hoffman and anyone.
Alright, let's continue.
Then she pulled her panties over, took the guy's false teeth, put them in her pussy.
Do I have to go up or more?
She told them back out. She took them back out and put them back in the guy's mouth. Any thought in my head, good or bad, went completely away, and I knew I needed to get the fuck out of there. The rest of that day and the next Christmas Day, I couldn't wipe the image out of my head, which I guess is a lot better than having to miss my mom. I woke up the day after Christmas thinking, what was all the fuss about? I made it through fucking Christmas. Now I'm all clear. My friends and I are going to go deep from now on until New Year's. And I'm not worried about my mother anymore. Everything is going to be fine. But then December 30th came and all the negative feelings crept back in. There was a party that night at a girl's house on the other side of town, and there were maybe 25 people there, nothing crazy. People were just saving up for New Year's Eve and the next night. By this point, I'd started using drugs as any form of therapy instead of just for fun, causing me to have what I thought was the worst trip of my life, watching The Blob with Steve McQueen. Thinking it could get no worse than that, I took 2 hits of mescaline. My friends and I were giggling and shit, and then out of nowhere, I had this horrible feeling come over me. It was anguish, the pain at its finest. And almost instantly, Mother started playing. It was the first time I ever had a panic attack, and it was terrible. I put my beer down and immediately went outside to get some air, but the tears started coming down and they wouldn't fucking stop. The pain was so intense I puked again. The alcohol was disappearing from my system, but the drugs were still very much there, and my mind was playing games. Thinking back on that moment now, it still makes me very, very sad. I started walking away from the party. I was crying more and more with every step, but without much logic, I headed to the cemetery. I jumped the fence to my mother's grave, and quickly as I could, I knelt down to the tombstone and started digging with my bare hands. I dug and cried. I couldn't believe she was gone. I wanted to know how this could have possibly happened to her. I wanted to know how this could have happened to me. I knew I'd seen her dead on the floor in the kitchen. I knew I saw her body lying in the casket. I'd watched them bury her right there in the ground, but in that moment, I couldn't just believe any of it was real. It never happened. It must have been a joke. I loved God. He would have never done this to me. This is just a bad dream. I'm going to prove it. Her body was not in there. I kept saying out loud to myself, digging until my hands were stained brown and with tears were frozen to my face. I laid on the ground next to the mess I'd made and cried more. I must have laid there in the freezing cold for 30 minutes before I finally got myself together to start moving again. I jumped the fence the other way and walked back to my house. I sat down on the steps where I'd been that night and took a deep breath, and then I went up to the door and started ringing the doorbell. I had the key in my pocket, but I didn't want to open it myself. I rang the doorbell again and again. I wanted my mum to come to the door and open it and yell, "What the fuck are you doing?" I wanted to hang it out with her and hear about her day while she shoved a Coke rock up her nose and let it melt in there. I wanted to tell her I was there for her, that I was hearing her now. I knew how much financial trouble she was in, how sad she was. I wanted her to know I'd help her. I'd take extra jobs, whatever it took. I'd do anything to make her happy again, as long as we were together. I wanted my life back. This certainly didn't feel like my life. I wanted her back. Eventually, around 5 a.m., I went back to the vendor's house and went to sleep for a while. When I woke up, I went to the cemetery so I could see in the daylight the damage I'd done to the gravesite. I fixed it as much as I could. I just want you to grow up to be a man. I could hear my mum's voice saying on repeat as I filled the hole back up with dirt. I just want you to grow up to be a man. Part 2, Criminal Life. Chapter 10, The Devil's Student. My entire childhood was lived in full colour, and they were vibrant colours at that. Even when some bullshit popped up, all in all, I was a fairly good kid, having an excellent go at life. Out of nowhere, my late teens found me living in a black and white movie. It was a horror flick that never seemed to end. Everything constantly felt dark. I'd officially cracked from my mother's death, and there was no putting me back together. I was depressed, and the only way I thought I could combat it was by self-medicating with booze and drugs, lashing out at the world by committing an endless string of crimes. As I mentioned, my buddies and I never saw what we were up to, stealing stuff here and there, as criminal activity, but we saw it as old-fashioned fun hustling. After my mom died, that all changed for me. I turned 17 on February after my mom died, and that's about the time I started running with a dude called the Devil. Yeah, the Devil. He was 2 or 3 years older than me, and then a dark fucking guy. People warned me about him, and I stopped caring about my life at that point, and consequences for that matter. So from the way I saw it, there was no risk in hanging with him. I liked the Devil a lot. He and I quickly got to stealing scrap metal and selling it for profit. He'd end up shorting me every time. If my cut should have been $100, he gave me 75 because he was the ultimate scam artist. I didn't mind. I mean, the devil taught me how to get by on nothing. He opened my eyes to options I would have never seen before. I soon wanted to up my own ante. With the devil's guidance, I realized opportunities were constantly right under my nose. I took a job at a lumberyard every day after school from 2 to 5 p.m. And my part of the job was to bring the outgoing mail to the post office every afternoon. One day I got there and the post office was closed, so I started putting the mail into one of the mailboxes outside. The envelope fell on the ground, and when I went to pick it up, I felt something sliding inside it. I needed to know what was in it, so I put the letter in my pocket, mailed the rest of the shit, and got out of there. When I got back to the Benders that night, I opened up the envelope, and inside were 2 gas cards, 2 checks for $28,000, or one for $28,000 and another for $20,000. Right away, I sold the gas cards, and then I went to a friend of mine to see about cashing these checks. He told me he could call his brother, a guy in the mafia. I met the guy at a local pizza spot and showed him how to cash the checks. What do you think? I asked, showing off the smuggled slips of paper. He examined them closely, front to back. If my plan for this works, I'm going to keep the 20,000 and I'll give you the 20. I'm going to keep the 28,000 and I'll give you the 20. He told me. I agreed. A couple of days later, we met at the same pizza place. He gave me an envelope with 20,000 cash in it. I was fucking set. I never went back to the lumberyard. I used the money to start my own business selling drugs in bigger and better amounts than ever before. I'd go out to my guy in East Stroudsburg, stock up to the brim, and come back ready to sell a ton of mescaline, acid, and black beauties. My profit margins were fucking huge. Let's say I'd buy 1,000 black beauties for $40. I'd go home and sell them for $1 a piece. I was making money hand over fist. While selling drugs in large quantities, I was also doing them in even larger quantities. Cocaine was really blowing up at this point, and everyone was doing it, and I used it to numb every fucking feeling of loss I didn't want to deal with. Beauty was, it worked. It wasn't long before my cocaine use was completely out of control. I went from doing it here and there to doing it every fucking day. It was common to find me missing classes, high as fuck instead. Nothing seemed important to me, except having coke up my nose and someone else's cash in my pocket. As the months passed, I became one of the biggest scumbags in the neighborhood. I'd gone from a kid fucking around with his buddies to a man to be avoided. Despite it, the Benders continued to be amazing to me. My reputation was going to shit, but they stuck by me. I was happy for it since I really felt like I had no one. So many of the people who'd shown up during my mum's services, who promised they'd be there for me and for whatever I needed, whenever I needed it, now they just disappeared. They weren't answering the phone. Even my relationship with Juan was becoming non-existent. He'd been pissing me off since the day of my mother's death, talking shit about her to me constantly, telling me things I didn't need to know about her. Debts, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, making her seem like a villain in her death. And I didn't fucking appreciate it. Then my friends and I had a party at my old house and it was getting wild. Like, one kid was puking in the toilet and I lifted his head up, took a shit in the toilet and then put his head back in. One showed up out of nowhere and ringed us the fuck out. He ended up changing the locks of the house and banning me from it. In retrospect, I can see where he was coming from, getting there to find all these kids fucked up on drugs and trashing their house, but back then I wholeheartedly resented him for it. He was supposed to be on my team. It made me even more thankful for the Benders and really how much had they put up with.
You've got to resist him!
Hoffman, stand back!
No! He doesn't know what he's doing! Oh. Liam! Don't!
What do you mean, Liam? Stay back!
Stay out of my way, Sebastian.
O'Neill, what happened?
Theodore showed me the way. I am his now. I helped him hide. And in exchange, he gave me a new life.
A life as a slave.
You'll never understand. For that, you'll burn!
And one line.
Getting too hot in here. Gotta put the flames out. You must be cleansed.
You won't get out of here. He commands that I take care of you. You can either die or change like me. I'm sorry, Master. I won't let him get away. I promise.
Where is he?
Understand me. I'm a weak horse. I won't come down easy. Not again.
Fuck.
He won't bother us anymore.
Bruh. Fuck this Liam cunt. Not you. This O'Neill cunt.
Salt circle.
You've got to resist him!
Hoffman!
Salt circle.
No!
So-
He doesn't know what he's doing! Oh. Liam! Don't!
Stay out of my way, Sebastian.
Neil, what happened?
Theodore showed me the way. I am his now. I helped him hide. And in exchange, he gave me a new life.
A life as a slave.
You'll never understand. For that, you'll burn!
Getting too hot in here.
Let the flames
Gotta put the
consume you.
flames out.
Now I'm a soldier in his army.
Fuck.
Yeah, use a medical kit.
I told him.
I'll press square.
Get out of here. He commands that I take care of you.
Son.
You can either
Any of
die
them.
or change like me. Damn you, Sebastian. That's it. I'm done playing with you.
I'm done playing with you, mate. Alright? Don't fucking come on. The fuck did you do, Neil?
Thank you, Sebastian. Finally free from his voice. From my fears. I was so scared. You've got to stop him.
I can't stop him if I can't find him, O'Neill.
He phase shifted. He's not here. Not anywhere. The machine in the room next door. You gotta destroy it.
What machine?
He made me build it. It's hiding. Destroy it.
Okay, well that's not really, that's,
So that you can destroy him.
that's not that deep, dude. It was a bad deal. It was a shitty deal there.
What happened? How did O'Neill get turned into that thing?
I don't know. I've been locked in my safe house since you left. When Liam called and asked me to meet him, I was so relieved to hear his voice. But he wasn't Liam. It was that thing. I tried to get through to him, but you heard. Theodore Wallace did something to him.
Poor guy.
You didn't have a choice. So what now?
Let's take a look at this machine, O'Neill.
I think it's on the other side of the river.
Flamethrower. I could use this, but it's broken. If I found the right parts. Lots of weird stuff in here. Looks like he was building something.
Maybe that machine he was talking about.
trust the Pope, right? That's what it's telling us.
Yeah, never trust the Pope.
I would never disobey. Of course I will. Whatever pleases you. Yukiko, can you hear me? I'm in the fabrication room. Clearances don't mean much when everyone's dead. Just please come and meet me here. I have something to show you. It's important. I'm sorry, Yukiko, but he demands it.
Mark of influence. Theodore's sticking his fingers in every part of this place.
It's almost like a form of communication with him.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of swastikas to me. A bear's Catholic, does the Pope shit in the woods? Medical kit, maybe, yeah.
We got a job to do.
Yeah, yeah, Bill, we've got a job to do. Come on, Bill.
Ah. So what's the guard?
So you know Theodore Wallace?
Of course. He's head of recruitment. But what's he doing instead? And why is he doing it?
There's a lot going on that you don't know about. Theodore wants Lily for himself. You saw what he did to O'Neill. He'll do that to everybody in here if he has to. He'll tear this place apart to get his hands on her. We can't let that happen.
What is it?
I'm not totally sure. But it looks a hell of a lot like the stable field emitter. Whatever it is, O'Neill said to destroy it. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I know just how. It's me.
Sebastian, I'm starting to think you forgot about me.
Have you finished arming that cookie dough of yours?
I have. Looking for an excuse to use it too.
Good. I'm sending you my coordinates. Bring the big guns. We're going hunting.
Got it. I'm already gone. See you soon.
I'm almost ready over here. Let me know when you're good to go.
Tell me something, Torres. I need you to clarify a few things for me, Hoffman. You didn't seem surprised to see Esmeralda here.
Why should I be? She's a familiar face in STEM.
Everybody knows everybody in Mobius, huh?
More like I know everybody. I've been in charge of new hire evaluations for years.
Like one big dysfunctional family.
Esmeralda's the best person to have around in dangerous situations. She's a good soldier.
You're damn right I am.
I assume you know Myra, too.
I do. We work together closely.
How could she do this? How could she stand by while they conducted experiments on Lily? How could she tell Lily that she was dead?
Myra's maternal instinct is very strong. And the word experiment is a bit harsh. Myra was treated well, and she was able to interact with Lily on a daily basis. As far as telling Lily you were dead, I believe Myra only did it to protect Lily.
Yeah, well, I believe Myra's maternal instinct has gotten a little bit out of control.
Hopefully, you can work this all out as a family when this is all over.
I've been into Theodore's reality. If it's a reflection of his psyche, he's definitely got some serious mental issues.
That would explain why he's so powerful.
And yet he's hiding.
Perhaps it's easier to manipulate from the shadows.
Well, I'm about to drag him out of the shadows.
If what Liam told us was true,
There's only one way to find out. I don't know if you should be in here when this thing goes off.
I don't think I want to be. There were some interesting items in the other room that Liam was working on. I want to go check and see if there's anything that might be useful.
Okay. But then you should get back to your safe house. No telling what will happen in here once we shut this thing down.
Will do.
Tell me something, Torres. So you knew Hoffman before this?
Everybody knows Hoffman. You don't get into Mobius without passing through her office.
Can she be trusted?
I might have said she's trapped in here like the rest of us.
So you're not sure?
She's not bad. Just a bit of a cold fish. I have trouble completely trusting people who look at me like I'm something in a petri dish.
I don't know what's gonna happen when you blow this thing up.
Me either. But at least we're being proactive.
I don't think we're gonna convince Theodore to leave Lily alone. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who can be talked into doing the right thing.
So you're giving me orders to shoot on sight?
I'm just saying be prepared for anything. You can't predict what's gonna happen in this place. No offense, but how did someone as smart and headstrong as you wind up in an organization like Mobius?
I was a demolitions expert in the army. They loaned me out to Mobius for some Black Ops stuff. Once my term was up, they came knocking.
And you just joined up like that?
They were pretty good salesmen. They don't tell you everything when you sign up. I was tasked with some things that I'm not proud of. They expect you to follow blindly, and if you disobey, when Myra offered me the opportunity to get out, I had to take it. I've still got some morals left, despite the things that I've had to do.
Is that enough to take care of this thing?
Like 10 times over. And it's ready to go when you are.
I'm good to go.
I'm going to check out the equipment in the other room. Good luck, you two.
Okay, here we go. Operation Kick Ass happening in 3, 2, 1.
Are you okay, Torres? Torres? Where'd you...
Sebastian Castellanos.
Bro,
Refused to step into the
this guy. Fucking
tried to bring me to
takes
my
his
home.
love out of that.
Your rash decisions have always been your downfall. Come then, I await you. You want to find your beloved daughter? Go there. See if it's everything you dreamt of. You're here.
I'm over here, Dad.
I think deep down I knew they knew my issues weren't just related to my mom or having to move or having to give up my family dog Crystal. She went to Nina, Tati's wife. Oh yeah, it wasn't that my relationship with Juan had been severed or that Anthony died or even that during the summer my other close friend Dominic Speckle drowned to death. It was a combination of all these things and more. But the more I got into drugs and the more I got off on theft, the harder it was for me to stop. I kept acting up. Time went on and the cops were continuously banging on the Bender's door. It got old and Mr. Bender finally had enough. He'd been patient for a year and a half, but in April of my junior year in high school, with tears in his eyes, Mr. Bender said, "I don't want to do this, but you're causing too many problems." He handed me a fistful of money and asked me to leave. I thought I was going to be homeless for about a minute before a small bit of luck came my way. Another family from the neighborhood, the Rune family, told me I could stay with them. The Rune family had 5 kids, 1 girl named Joan, and 4 boys, Mike, Steve, Ricky, and Bobby. I became close with all of them. I contributed nothing to begin with. I was dealing tons of drugs, bringing in a ton of cash, but what I had learned and came to know very well for decades afterwards was that when your life is mostly about partying, the money leaves your pocket as quickly as it lines it. So I was always broke. By the end of that summer, Mr. Rune told me, "Listen, I have too many kids living in this house. I'm asking everyone to pitch in $35 a week to help with the bills and groceries." It wasn't a lot of money, and it was the least I could do, but I had a creepy feeling about using my drug income to pay Mr. Rune. If I could even hold on to it long enough, I figured I had a decision to make: go back to high school in the fall and keep scraping by like this, or quit school and get a real full-time job and pay my dues. I had no family to impress, no one to walk down the stage and get the fucking diploma for. I had no one who would even come to watch me graduate. I figured no one counting on me to be a better person, no one counting on me for shit. So I said, fuck it, I'm done. When school started that year, I wasn't on the roster. It would have been my senior year. I found a gig as a laborer at a warehouse. I was 20, it was $12.50 an hour, which was great money at the time. So I started a 30-day probationary period where right away I was going tremendously. I liked it so much that I was the first one there in the mornings and the last one there to leave. I really started taking this job seriously. I even stopped doing coke on the weekends so I could stay straight on for my shifts, which was asking a lot of myself. One day I ate something bad and started throwing up at work, vomit all over my jeans and shirt. I couldn't stop laughing. I asked one of the guys if I could take a break early and go to Rune's house to change, but by the time I got back, they had locked the gate outside of my job. I kept trying to call them to come back out and open it, but after a while, without anyone even acknowledging me, I left. The next day I got a call saying I was fired. Apparently I'd walked off the job and decided to fight it as an unjust termination. To bring in money immediately, I went on unemployment, and then a miracle, my case agent at the warehouse went to the union. A few months after they'd wrongly fired me, I got about $15,000 in back pay. It was unfucking believable. With money out, with money, so I was back to partying like a motherfucker, spending like crazy. Even though a lot of my friends were in high school, we were going out every night of the week, and you'd be surprised how quickly cash burned out. By spring, I was back to illegal ways of bringing in money. I thought to myself, what would the devil do? My first hit was a house across the street from Lynn's house. The guy was a wealthy music executive, so I had scoped it out at the time. I had scoped it out, and now and then thinking, I have to get into this house. When I did, I brought one of my closest friends from the block, and we cleaned them the fuck out. Then my buddies and I started mugging guys at night in Houston County Park. I started regularly carrying a .32 pistol for protection, so I always felt prepared in case something went wrong. It never did. The dudes we'd mug in the park were little bitches. They'd come and get their dicks sucked, most of them married guys, and when they'd get there, we would be hiding in the bushes waiting to jump them and take everything they had on them, since they didn't want to rat themselves out to their wives by filing police reports. They'd never say a fucking word. My friends and I were becoming our own criminal enterprise. Every day was a different score. It was me, Stinky, Teddy, Carlos, Pelican, Jerry, and a few others who ran fucking hard. There was a local jewelry store, and I noticed it didn't have a security buzzer. There were always two old men behind the counter. They seemed like suckers. One day I went in and asked to look at a ring. One of the ladies took out the tray and put it on the counter. When she turned her back for a second, I took a couple of rings and put them in my sock. She never noticed a thing. When I pawned them, I scored a few $100. Not long after, we were all hanging out eating lunch one day, and Teddy said, "Fuck, we need money for tonight. What are we doing? What are we gonna do?" "I have an idea," I said right away. I walked over to the jewelry store and saw a case that must have been more than a few thousand gold chains, all different sizes. Underneath were a bunch of gold bracelets. I knew it would be a huge payout for us. Then I saw what I really wanted, a tray of about 30 diamond wedding rings. The second ladies weren't looking. I grabbed the tray, stuck it under my shirt, and booked it out of there. I brought it to the kids we knew, who bought all the rings for $10,000. My friends and I partied like rock stars for a week. That became our thing. Steal something, get a giant chunk of change, party for as long as we could with the cash, and then repeat the cycle. None of us had jobs, but this was working out just fine. One Monday night football game, my buddies and I placed $20,000 bet on the Dallas Cowboys would beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. We bet through one of our high school teachers, who was a really nice dude. So when we lost, we couldn't just dodge him. We had to come up with the money by that Thursday. We knew there were lots of places and people to rob, but we figured the jewelry store was our best bet. I needed help at the time though, since word was out that there were recent robberies there. So we came up with a plan. Stinky was going to help me in. I'd go in and ask for something, and when they turned their backs on whatever trade it would be, I'd pass it to Stinky, and he'd run out of there, and then I'd run the other way. Stinky would pass the jewelry back to me at the meeting point, and I'd hop out of the car that Jerry would be waiting in, and we'd be off. I had a weird feeling that it was a suicide mission, but we went for it anyway. What did I have to lose? The plan was moving along smoothly until Stinky dropped the jewelry tray as he was passing it back to me in the relay. The jewelry fell everywhere, all over the ground, as the women chased after us screaming. We rushed to pick up every piece, and once we got it all, we both hopped a fence, got in Jerry's car, and sped away. We saw a cop speeding down the street with lights on, but we stayed cool in the car, acting like no big deal. When the trunk of Jerry's car randomly popped open while the cops were right near us, we were sure we were fucked. But for some reason, the cop car drove right by us. We ended up making so much money off the jewelry, even after the best of us was paid, that we barely knew what to do with it. After this robbery, people looked at us differently. They knew us savages weren't fucking around. I got I even got an offer to get involved with the mob after that, which was cool, but also terrible. I was making an even worse name for myself now. Word continued to spread that I've been involved in this big jewelry robbery, and another one of my former teachers, Mr. Dalton, let me know the cops were looking for me. They'd been...
No. No, this isn't right.
Myra succeeded where you failed. You refused to listen. You lost them both, and then became lost yourself.
You don't know anything about me.
Myra understood that goals can be achieved by submission. By joining.
Why weren't you there when I needed you?
You weren't there when I needed you.
Invisibility.
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 Invisibility. It literally is, bro. Its face is like exactly what you just fucking described it. But not anymore. Popped like a tomato, bro. You're smacking, yeah. Like it's blood all over your face and hair and shit. Like it's like literally bursting all over his face.
What's that other axe that was dropped?
When brains casually burst in your face and you just go and pick up the green gel. You know what I mean? Like, bro, what is savage, bro? What is savage? Maybe that was it. Did you have one before?
Yeah.
Did
So
you use a bow?
Get it up. Yeah, she used one, but I couldn't pick the other one up.
Maybe it's gone. It's probably under the blood. There's so many of them, holy moly. Bro, how many of them are in this blood sea, bro? Where even are we? We're in just literally the blood sea of like... Just this endless blood sea with these blood wells, getting up more blood out of the blood.
Not even good.
Like, look at these, look, what are these wells digging up? They're not getting oil. They're just digging up more blood. In case you didn't have enough blood, we're also digging it out of the blood. Do you have enough blood yet? Is there enough blood for you? I think they said they needed some more blood in this game, so they put all these blood wells
Only
in.
got 2 bullets. Oh shit.
Do you get weak to the sight of blood? Oh, he had an axe. Holy moly. Was that enough blood? He just popped. He popped like a red balloon. That was good. But pick that up instead of running into it. Yeah. That would have been red hot to run into as well. Where are you? Who are you? Kazoo. Where are we going? Bro, she's all the way in the blood. How's she all the way past all the blood? Oh, the blood ends here. In this little hole in the ground. And down this staircase. All the way down into the bottom of the lodge.
So this shit doesn't start filling up with the blood. That wouldn't be too good, would it?
After all this, you still want to be reunited with Lily?
I do. I need to find her.
Fine. Then come to me.
Lily? Is it really you?
You weren't there when I needed you. Like, that is so fucked up. That's so obviously not her. It's so clearly not her thoughts. Fucking. You left me.
No. Lily!
There she is. Your precious daughter. Isn't this what you wanted?
Dad, you let this happen to me. Why didn't you save me?
Liam said he played off your worst fears.
I couldn't.
So it's your worst
I
fears?
wanted to.
Lily turning into a demon creature. Oh my, get that bitch. No.
Doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. Unless you join me. Do that, and I can make your dreams come true.
No.
Together we can take Lily from Myra. Once I have the power of the core, you will be truly free.
No.
It will take more than bullets to stop me. Will you never learn?
You shot me. Sebastian, why?
No. No.
on, man. Get you out of here.
Shit's getting heated.
Well, Taurus got eaten.
You can't let him get to you.
Probably do.
You gotta give that son of a bitch some payback.
Sebastian? What's wrong? Are you alright? You've been working too hard. It's making you delirious.
Myra? Torres, where? I'm home. How did I?
Oh, Lily's room.
Just the way it used to be. The way I wish it had stayed. Buried myself in work so hard. If I could only get some of that time back, I'd spend it with them. Lily? Myra. What an incredible woman. She really could have been that letter. No wonder she was able to infiltrate Mobius. Once she set her mind to something, she wouldn't stop. Not like me.
I think that there might not actually be another boss until the last boss. I think we're actually almost at the end. If you want to just finish this, because I think this is like the last chapter.
It sounded so crazy at the time.
It turns like it's like the first game. You know how like